past news. Today's topic is the Battle of Midway, set back in June of 1942.
The Battle of Midway was a turning point of the war in the Pacific. The Japanese believed that it was crucial to win because they did not want America to get to full wartime industry capacity. Japan wanted to expand into America's Pacific waters.
Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto of Japan's Navy had a three-part plan that hinged on the element of surprise. To prepare, they sent a small contingency force to the Aleutian Islands, not only to distract, but to draw the Americans away from Midway. The first part of the plan was to strike the island with Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo's air forces. This would eliminate most of Midway's military power. Then, Vice Admiral Nobutake Kondo would lead a land invasion onto Midway, crushing the remaining resistance on their own beaches. The last part of the plan included the expectation that Pearl Harbor would send already diminished reinforcements. Whoever was left from Nagumo's fleet would fly out with Yamanoto's own forces.
Unfortunately for Yamamoto and Japan, Joseph Rochford of the American Combat Intelligence Unit had made a table-flipping discovery. He had deciphered Japan's naval code and received a vital message including the time, size, and strategy of Yamanoto's impending attack. Even outnumbering the Americans 2-1, Japan depended on the matter of surprise, which was lost due to the codebreakers.
Okay. American forces were ready for the Japanese, sending 3 carriers, divided into 2 groups. Task Force 17 is led by Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher, named tactical decision-maker for the battle, with the USS Yorktown in tow. Task Force 16 was led by Rear Admiral Raymond Spruance, consisting of the USS Hornet and the USS Enterprise.
On the morning of June 3rd, at 9:25, the first Japanese forces were spotted. We thought it was Nagumo's main forces, when in fact it was Nobutake's invasion group. America sent 9 B-17 bombers to attack Konju's forces. No hits were landed, and Nobutake Kondo didn't warn Yamamoto or Nagumo because of the ordered radio silence.
June 3rd was technically the first clash of the Battle of Midway. However, the real bloodshed started on June 4th, when 15 B-17 bombers were sent out to look for the Japanese naval fleet.
Admiral Nagumo commences the first part of his plan and sends his first airstrike to Midway with 100 aircraft. In the same span of time, our forces launched 4 groups of aircraft headed for his carriers.
At 5:56 a.m., the air raid alarm sounds in Midway's harbor. It takes 20 minutes for American forces to gather and engage with Japanese aircraft. When the Japanese return to the carriers, one pilot informs Nagumo that a second raid is needed to finish off Midway's military.
Nagumo has a hard decision to make, a crucial one. He could decide to prep the planes to attack Midway again or prepare for a naval battle. Before he can make the decision, the 4 groups that were sent earlier finally arrived to bomb the Japanese fleet. One of our submarines also emerged behind the fleet. All but 6 aircraft were shot down, and we didn't manage to do any significant damage.
The Japanese then take the time to refuel and rearm their planes, a mistake they will never forget.
The Hornet and the Enterprise give orders for the liftoff of 116 planes to attack the carriers next. The Yorktown follows suit. McCluskey's group of planes from the USS Enterprise could not find the Japanese fleet where they were thought to be, but made a last-ditch effort and headed northwest, the line they thought the Japs would take to get to Midway.
26 American Dauntlesses had found the fleet and attacked the Kaga while they rearmed and refueled. 9 bombs hit and sunk the Kaga. Then fighters from the USS Yorktown arrived and landed 3 bombs on the Soryu, sinking that carrier as well. The next to go is the Akagi, the third of the Japanese carriers to be put out of action.
Vice Admiral Shuichi Naguma is forced to transfer to a light cruiser named Nagara. The only Japanese carrier left, the Hiryu, launches an air attack headed for American carriers. They meet a force of American aircraft, but 14 survive and manage to land a few hits on the Yorktown.
Admiral Frank Fletcher decides it would be best to transfer to a heavy cruiser, the Historia, and gives command to Rear Admiral Spruance. The Japanese launch a second wave of aircraft. This time, only 5 torpedo bombers survive. However, only 2 hits was enough to tip the Yorktown 26 degrees. The flight deck was almost touching the water on one side, so it was called to abandon ship.
In retaliation, Spruance summons all available dive bombers and sets them on course to attack the Hiryu, which is only 72 miles out. The bombers land several critical hits, and the last Japanese carrier is taken down.
Major combat is finally over, and only a few small clashes occur over the coming days. America has won the war and turned the tide with a single victory.
Midway allowed America and the Allies to move into offensive positioning and put Japan on defense for the rest of the war. It caused permanent damage to the Japanese Navy and made them abandon their expansion into the Pacific. It raised America's morale while lowering the Japan's at the same time.
Losses were extensive for the Japanese when compared to the Americans. We lost 1 carrier, the USS Yorktown, and 1 destroyer, the USS Hammond. We also lost 145 aircraft total, and our casualties were counted in at 307. The Japanese, however, lost 4 carriers, the Akagi, Hiryu, Kaga, and Soryu. They also lost a cruiser called the Mikuma. Many of their ships were damaged: Mogami, a cruiser, Tanakaze, a Ratio, and a Seishio, destroyers, an oiler called the Akubanu Maru, and the Haruna, a battleship. They lost a total of 292 aircraft. 219 of them had been lost with the sinking of carriers. They also lost 2,500 men, equal to half the soldiers they brought for the land invasion. Kondo.
Nabutaki Kondo!
Yamanato.
Yamanato!
Incoming.
Slow down on the joke. I'm using Megan's exercises because she does this really well.
Cheating on...
Megan, are you dying?